Today is all about some twists. So we are going to work into your lung and large intestine meridian. Pamel's like, yep, I have no idea what that means. And then your heart and small intestine meridians. So as we learned yesterday, it feels like when you say we're going to hold something for 3 minutes, that seems like an eternity, but apparently it goes really quick. So we're going to get right to it. You're going to set up on your back. Today we're going to do the regular supine twist. Good old-fashioned extend your left leg down the mat or right leg. You can pick one. Opposite knee is going to come up and over. And again, just a reminder, this is not like your vinyasa practice or hatha practice, ashtanga, etc. This is all about gravity. So feel free to bring a block or a cushion underneath your right knee, kind of like you're spooning, a bolster, your pillow, your dog, whatever. Gazing out a little over the right palm. And you don't have to take up any kind of shape. If your hip muscles, low back muscles are tighter, your knee might not be on the mat. That's okay. You're going to get a stretch across IT into the glute minimus, medius. If your knee is all the way down, you're going to feel that stretch probably through the sacrum, a little more into your low back. But we're going to bring some focus towards your lung meridian. So up by your shoulders, we're going to take whatever leg is extended, that's the hand you're working with so that you can leave the opposite arm extended. Where your deltoids, your shoulder muscles, converge with your chest muscles. So if you follow your clavicle bone all the way out to meet your shoulder and then move your finger down just a little bit, you feel a little nook, right? And if you kind of poke around, your lung 1 and lung 2 acupuncture points are there. So one might feel better than the other. Lung 1 is a little bit lower, about a finger's width distance for most of us below the clavicle. And you might have to move it around. Again, you're not trying to do a deep massage necessarily, right? They don't massage your muscle with acupuncture. That would be something. They just, penetrate the skin. I think it's like 0.05 to 0.08 millimeters or something. Again, I don't practice acupuncture. It's just personal studies of interest, so maybe you can look that up if you are feeling intrigued. But holding that gentle pressure, maybe somewhere between figuring out which point feels better or different. But basically, this is all about processing grief. Or maybe releasing congestion, maybe you've had trouble breathing, maybe you have allergies, asthma, panic attacks. Anxiety will also change your breathing patterns. So as you come gently through center and scoot the biscuits underneath you, we'll take it to the other side for you to do a little bit of that same exploration. Finding lung 1 and lung 2. Really, it's lung 1 we're after. But we are working with fingers and some newness to this practice. We don't have, acupuncture needles, so it won't be as precise. But see what you can find in there. It might just feel nice. Might release a little more stretch through the front of your shoulder. But yeah, lungs are where we process our grief energetically. Right? They're tied to immunity, our immune system. And then obviously respiration. And the other part of all of these twists is your heart and your small intestine meridian. Right? Which is dealing with circulation Makes sense if you think about what your heart does. Heart is associated with love and happiness. Sometimes that can be out of balance and we feel sadness, perhaps depressed. We might feel a little bit desperate. Easy to understand during these last couple of months for any number of reasons. Your lung in your large intestine is associated with, when you're a little bit out of balance, not just sadness, but a sense of loss, hence the grief. So another breath or two. And letting yourself melt back to center. We'll tap into those points again as you move through this slow practice, but for now, as you cross your legs and come through seated, it might feel good to curl up on one side of your body or rock and roll, however you get there. We're going to set up half frog. So as you come onto your belly, I'm going to invite Pamela to use one of the yoga tune-up balls. You can use a tennis ball. You can wrap up, roll up a sock, anything that puts a little bit of pressure in lung 1, lung 2 area, right? Ideally, we're searching for lung 1, but again, without the acupuncture needles, it's hard to be so precise. So in that little nook, which is, it's of course evading memory now, but some kind of triangle, forget what they call it, but you can feel it. So right below the clavicle is lung 2, about a finger width below that, lung 1. It's where it's just on the outside of your rib cage. So if you're curious, you can always kind of hook up around your pectoral muscle, feel where your rib cage is underneath in the armpit, where your shoulder muscle kind of joins in. Be a little more precise. But Pamela's going to work her left ankle out a little bit. Knee in line with ankle, knee in line with hip. Yep. You're going to turn your gaze to face away from that knee that's bent. And arms are moving out to a T. The acupressure, if you're looking for it, is underneath that same side. So for Pamela, as she reaches the left arm out, yep, ball's in that little nook and gaze turns away. It's all gravity from there. Right elbow is going to be a place of comfort. Sometimes more of a goalpost arm works. Maybe to tuck it in to protect a shoulder injury. Otherwise, you're reaching the arm out. And you're breathing. All gravity. 8-ish. Right? Sometimes doing a little less is harder than doing more. So if that's the case, just notice, right? We're trying to free up energy. Trying to get rid of any blockages, free up any congestion. Break up any grief blockages. So make sure you're breathing fully. Breathing slowly. Adding any energetic quality to the breath that allows you to be a little more grounded, a little more soothing. And then to gently work your way onto the opposite side. So as you extend the left leg, or whatever leg you have bent up, we'll swap out. Sometimes we are prone to sleep in this or a similar position. You're going to feel this heel slide out just the tiniest bit. One more uchi. Gazing away from whatever knee is bent. Right, so we bring the twist up towards the cervical spine, through the cervical spine, I should say. Acupressure point underneath the right shoulder if you're using any kind of soccer ball, tennis ball, lacrosse ball. You can pad any of that up if you want a block or something underneath that inner thigh, a pillow perhaps. And then you just want to turn a little inward. Your mind might be following sensation. And we might be prone to moving around a little bit. There is no judgment about that. But you might spend some time just kind of sitting with that itch, that urge to move, and notice where it's originating from. Where is the actual discomfort? It might be more emotional or more in our brain than necessarily in the physical space in our body we are looking to move. And so perhaps moving more through the breath or moving your mind somewhere else in the body, a little shift in focal point, 8-7, might actually be a bigger assist than the physical adjustment. Right, but paying attention to your energy might be shifting, your mood might be shifting, your thoughts might be streaming. You want to continue to let things move through you. The point isn't to subdue them or pretend they don't exist, but rather to get them moving. And that might mean that as that happens, they might have a little climax, or I feel like the word is crescendo or something, right? They might have a little uptick. They might fluctuate, lower a little bit. They might be doing zigzags and cartwheels. But keep breathing. One more generous cycle of breath. And then we're going to take time to extend the right leg, whatever knee is bent. We're going to stay on our bellies, but you can extend the legs for a moment. We're going to move arms out to a T. Turn your gaze in the opposite direction. So make sure we're getting a little bit of relief on those neck muscles. Whatever arm is behind you is going to stay put. You can use the opposite palm to help roll the leg behind you. So if your left hand is behind you, right leg falls. I'm going to invite Pamela to straighten the legs for the first minute or so. Sometimes you're stacking heels or letting the foot fall just below the bottom heel. Some of us have a little bit of room to move feet farther away from one another, but since we'll be here a good 3 minutes as opposed to maybe 5 or 8 breaths, I'm going to invite you to move very slowly. So it's all by gravity, all by release on your exhales. You might feel this more through the low back, your sacrum. You might feel it at the hip joint. It might be coming through the front of your hip flexor psoas, moving down the side through IT band, glute minimus, medius. It's going to show up a little bit different for each of us, right? But bringing the twist now towards lower lumbar, bottom of thoracic spine, which is your mid back, if you will, between the shoulders. Right below the shoulder blades. Your lower lumbar spine doesn't twist too much, doesn't move too much. It's fairly solid-ish. You still get a little bit of helixing, a little bit of stretch from these upside down V muscles. They're like 1 inch long. They connect each vertebrae or vertebra, however you say it, to one another. And often in something like power flow or vinyasa, ashtanga, Hatha, Iyengar, all of the more active practices, we're engaging larger muscle groups that kind of take over and maybe remove some of the activity, some of the stretching, some of the benefits from the smaller muscle group, the connective tissue, which is really what we're targeting in Yin. So again, it's not about large muscles. You want to relax them, play dead here in the hip, your low back, your shoulders, as much as you can so that gravity is really taking the weight of your body, working towards those smaller muscle groups, and eventually towards the connective tissue, right? Fascia holds our entire body together, holds organs in place, tendons, ligaments, for 3. 2. And then gently move back through center. Super, super gentle. Might take a little while, that's okay. Again, 3 to 5 minutes. If you're staying a little bit longer, maybe as you're getting into this Yin practice, be patient with those 3 to 5. Sometimes it just takes about 2 and then you're ready. While there are some postures that can be held, in theory, closer to 20 minutes, you want to make sure you can walk, make sure you're mobile by the time you're out of this, right? You want to hesitate to stretch, overstretch that connective tissue. That's what holds your joints together. We need these joints together so that we can move safely, so you don't sort of topple to the floor and blow out a hip or something. Again, straight legs. Even if you tend to plant your foot behind the bottom thigh and let the knee fall out, we want to remove any excess holding, any excess work, and let gravity in first. This would be a little much to put yoga tune-up balls or any kind of acupressure underneath the bottom shoulder. You're still getting a nice stretch through that area. Obviously, the benefits of this practice and the acupressure linger for upwards of hours beyond when you stop doing it. So you're still sticking with noticing all of the things. Maybe your mood is still kind of shifting. Energy might be shifting. But keeping things moving freely. So as things come and go, even the thoughts, letting them arise and letting them pass. Move off towards the distant. But continuing to smooth things out with the breath. To breathe fully. You can belly breathe. No one can see you, by the way, so might feel really nice to expand the belly. You breathe into your lungs, obviously, but oftentimes we're working the diaphragm from expanding from the lungs using intercostal muscles, right? Traps move your shoulder blades, extensors lift your rib cage, but your belly can also work with the diaphragm. It might provide a little bit of ease to some of those breathing muscles that we use so much. So maybe 3 breaths. Two. And then melting back to center. As you do that, take your time. You're going to be able to sink into the mat, find some neutral space. First, maybe you're just a hot mess. Maybe you feel like I should be drawing a chalk outline around you. No worries. Take your time. You can rest here on your belly. Otherwise, I'm going to invite you just to turn gently onto your back. Extend maybe to that Bananasana. B-A-N-A-N-A-S, A-S-A-N-A. However you say it, reach for your elbows above you, hook over a heel, stretch out, soak up, and we will see you tomorrow. Toodles.